I never ever expected running to teach me anything about my creative work. One's about your body, right? The other is all in your head. But over this last year, I've realized that the discipline I built out on the pavement has completely changed how I show up to my desk. So today, I want to share 6 lessons that running taught me about being consistent no matter what you're trying to create. Let's dive in.
And this really nails the whole idea. On the surface, running and creativity look like they're from different planets. One is sweat and pounding the pavement. The other is ideas and staring at a screen. But when you really get down to it, they're powered by the exact same engine. It's all about just showing up, taking that next small step, and then trusting that all those little steps are actually going to lead you somewhere.
So where did this all begin? Well, like pretty much everyone who starts a new habit, my first mistake was a classic one. I went from 0 to 100 on day 1. I tried to sprint right out of the gate because I thought that's what real runners do. And surprise, within minutes I was completely out of breath, frustrated, and honestly, pretty much ready to quit for good.
But you know what? That epic fail was actually a gift. It taught me the most critical lesson of all, how to just start. And, more importantly, how to start in a way that doesn't make you want to throw in the towel immediately. So these first 2 lessons are all about that, breaking through the inertia and just getting yourself into motion.
The real aha moment came when I finally gave myself permission to start with something that felt almost, embarrassingly small. Instead of trying to run a full mile, my only goal was to walk more than I ran. I'd run for a block, then walk for 2. It sounds so simple, it's almost silly, but it was an absolute game changer.
And this is so true for any creative work, isn't it? We're always waiting for that perfect weekend, that huge chunk of inspired time to write a whole chapter or design an entire project. But consistency isn't built on those huge, heroic efforts. It's built on the small things you can actually do over and over again. Writing 1 paragraph today is infinitely better than dreaming about the perfect book you never actually start.
Okay, so let's talk about momentum. We have this idea that it's some kind of magic you have to wait for, right? That feeling of being in the zone. But what running hammered home for me is that you don't find momentum, you build it. You literally create it with action. Just think about it. The first 5 minutes of any run are always the worst. Your legs feel like lead and your brain is just screaming, "What are we doing? Let's go back inside." But then something clicks. You find a rhythm. That resistance starts to fade. See, the hardest part wasn't the run itself. It was just getting your shoes on and walking out the door. Creativity is the exact same way. That blank page is the real monster. Just start typing and you'll find the ideas start to follow.
Okay, so you're off the starting blocks. That's huge. But the real challenge is keeping it up, day after day, week after week. Am I right? So these next 2 lessons are all about building the right kind of support system to play the long game.
Let's just be brutally honest for a second. Motivation is a terrible strategy. It's flaky, it's an emotion. Some days you wake up feeling like you can conquer the world, and other days you'd rather do literally anything else. If you only show up when you feel like it, you're not going to get very far. The secret is to build a system that works even when your motivation takes a day off. My running system is not glamorous at all. It's actually kind of boring. I run at the same time every day, so I don't have to waste brain power deciding when to do it. I lay out my clothes the night before so there's 0 friction in the morning, and I track my runs, just so I can see that I'm making progress. That's it. These tiny little habits make showing up almost automatic.
And you can see how this maps perfectly onto creative work. Your system might be dedicating the first 30 minutes of your day to writing, before you even look at email. Or maybe it's using a project template so you never have to face a completely blank slate. The point is to build a process that doesn't care how you're feeling. That's what carries you forward when inspiration is nowhere in sight.
This was a tough one for me, because we're all wired to want big, flashy results right away. But what running teaches you is that real, lasting progress is almost invisible on a day-to-day basis. You don't feel any faster on a Wednesday than you did on Tuesday. But then you look back over 3 months and suddenly you realize, whoa, I've come a long way. Progress whispers, it doesn't shout. Your creative work is the exact same. It's compounding quietly in the background. You just have to trust that the daily effort is adding up, even when you can't see it yet. All right, for these last 2 lessons, we're going to go a little deeper. This is where we get past the how-to and into the real internal shift, the mindset change that makes consistency a part of who you are, not just something you do. This is where it all really locks into place. One of the most surprising things about running was what it did for my brain. I honestly can't tell you how many creative problems I've untangled out on a run, problems that I'd been staring at for hours at my desk. Just the simple act of moving my body forward created momentum in my mind.
It's almost like the physical act of putting one foot in front of the other teaches your brain to do the same thing with your ideas. When you just show up and start moving, whether that's running or writing, your mind learns to get out of its own way. It stops overthinking and starts trusting the process. Clarity follows action, not the other way around. And that brings us to our final and I think most powerful lesson of all. This is the reframe that changed everything for me. It's the one that made consistency feel natural instead of forced. Just let that sink in for a second. It sounds like such a small change in wording, but it's everything. It completely reframes the entire situation. It's no longer a question about a temporary feeling. It's a statement about a permanent identity. The decision has already been made. So here's the takeaway. Stop thinking of yourself as someone who does a creative thing sometimes. You're not someone who writes when they feel inspired. You are a writer. You're not someone who creates when they have free time. You are a creator. When the action becomes a part of your identity, it will drive your behavior more powerfully than motivation ever could. So, when you put it all together, what's the big idea here? It's this, the ripple effect. When you build the muscle of consistency in one part of your life, you're not just getting better at that one thing. You're learning a universal skill, a rhythm of discipline that bleeds into everything else you do.
At the end of the day, running didn't just make me a better runner. It taught me how to start small, how to build something from nothing, how to lean on systems instead of feelings, how to trust the quiet progress, and most importantly, how to step into the identity of someone who just shows up. And that leaves us with one final thought for you to chew on. What's a habit in your life? Maybe it's cooking, maybe it's playing guitar, maybe it's gardening. What is it that's quietly teaching you the rules of consistency? Look for those connections, because learning how to show up for one thing, well, it teaches you how to show up for everything. One step at a time.